All right, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining today for this very special episode of our webinar, which we're going to be
بيت
hosting with
الهدف فيها.
Mufti Faraz. So yes, thank you very much again for everybody for joining and taking the time out of your days today to attend this webinar. It's a very special episode that we're going to be hosting with Mufti Faraz and Brother Dilshod. They're going to be where we have a series of questions that we're going to be asking throughout. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat, and we'll ask those questions to Mufti Faraz as well. He'll be giving you answers to your questions. So before we begin, I'm just going to give you a quick introduction of both of these personalities that we have in our room here today. Brother Dilshod, he's the co-founder and CEO of Musaffa. He's a CFA charter holder, passionate about finance and technology. He brings himself with him extensive experience at Wells Fargo Security as a capital market analyst. He has a bachelor degree in finance from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville and an MBA from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And he later received a professional certificate in data science from Harvard University. Mufti Faraz as well. Thank you very much again for joining us. He leads the internationally recognized Sharia advisory firm, Amanah Advisors, which advises Islamic institutions across the US, UK, Canada, Malaysia, Singapore, UAE, and beyond. He holds a master's degree in Islamic finance from Newman University, completed Islamic law training in South Africa, and earned fintech specializations from University of Michigan. As a certified Sharia advisor, he's currently pursuing his PhD on Sharia governance for artificial intelligence and is the author of books including The Introduction of Islamic FinTech and Zakat Made Easy. So that was
الحمد
a
لله.
quick introduction of our guests today.
يا
So I'm going to leave the room to
स्वागत
Brother
kero
Dilshod and
था.
Faraz, Mufti Faraz, for you to ask your questions. And like I mentioned, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. One last thing that I would want to mention for all of the attendance participants here today, if you stay over until the very end, we do have a 1 month free giveaway, 1 month free trial for our premium subscription, and we will share the code towards the end. So I will leave it up to you, Brother Dilshod. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother Ali. Again, thanks everybody, and thank you, brother Mufti Faraz, for joining. We are very honored, as usual, for you joining, and I would say that one of the special webinars we're having today, and as usual, we have a list of questions for you as well, because Alhamdulillah, a lot of our Musaffa platform, Alhamdulillah, we surpassed 500,000 people on the platform from every single country you can imagine. And there's a huge demand for halal investing. People want to learn more about halal investing. I think that's where we come in, and that's where you come in, inshallah, giving them answer some of the most frequent asked questions, I would say. Okay, Salam alaikum, Mufti Faraz again. I would love to introduce you myself, but a lot of people, Alhamdulillah, they know you. You're quite well known in the industry. Yes, I think what we can do, brother, if you want, for some people might not know you, that we already introduced you, Alhamdulillah, but maybe you can tell for a minute about yourself, and then we can get started the question answers.
Yeah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here with Mustafa on this webinar. This is a brilliant initiative to educate people and to really engage with the questions that people have. It's through the dialogue that we really get to improve platform services and even be able to enhance what Mustafa is already offering. Hence, this webinar is very key. Just a bit about myself, which everything's been mentioned anyway, really. But I'm as the Sharia advisor at Mustafa, along with Dr. Azlan Hassan from Malaysia.
Thank you so much for introduction. We do have some set questions, but we also have, Alhamdulillah, a lot of questions start coming in. As I said, people are thirsty for knowledge, which is, Alhamdulillah, a very good thing, especially for halal investing. But we have some questions. If it's okay, like we can start discussing, get to the point, inshallah. So I would love to ask you some questions and then our audience can get some answers. To get started, if you can give, when it comes to specifically, like I would love to say, uh, we call it liquid assets, something you can buy and sell very easily. Assets, like what makes the investment halal?
Mhm.
If you could answer that, please.
So there's a number of factors that need to be considered when investing. The first thing is always the underlying asset. What are you investing in? Now, that might be easy when it's a singular type of asset. For instance, it's a property or it's gold. But it gets more complicated when an asset that you're investing in is a security or a financial instrument representing so many different things. And that's really what we're dealing with when we're talking about shares or ETFs and these types of things, where what you're investing in is not a singular entity. It's rather it's an entity, but it's composed of so many different things within it. And that's why a whole different discussion begins on understanding those things, because an investment in stocks, ETFs, and shares is really a sum of its parts. And that's why, from a Sharia perspective, as we'll discuss soon, in terms of like the activity that takes place, but really it's number one, understanding the underlying. What are you investing in? Number two, the contract. How are you investing? Because sometimes you may be investing in a stock, but you may not be bearing the risk. So that will not be Sharia compliant. So the how, the how is important. And likewise, although this is not always captured from a Sharia screening perspective, the why is also something you should be for yourself internally thinking about. Now, why are you investing? You don't want to invest in something with an incorrect intention or something, for instance, short selling. Short selling, although structurally is problematic, but even the conscience in the mind of investors when they're short selling, where they want the stock price to fall, even though others have invested where and they're going long, you're going short. So there's an asymmetric kind of position up here where your gain is on the loss of others almost. So
Yes.
that's subconsciously and in your mind, from a Sharia perspective, that's not a healthy mindset to have. So these are some of the things that we need to think about when investing as as believers. And when we talk about faith and finance, this is how faith aligns with our finance.
Yes. Yeah, Alhamdulillah, I think you gave a really good explanation. So, because that comes a lot of, I say halal investing 101 is like what makes investment halal. So, specifically when it comes to investing in like liquid assets, that's most likely where we did a research actually ourselves. And based on that, basically almost everything is not Sharia compliant what you can invest other than stocks and some ETFs and maybe like I would say crypto somewhere in the middle. But most of the thing like considering, for example, fixed income, right? There's a huge
Mm,
market, I think it's about over $130 trillion market in the world right now. It's not Sharia compliant. And then you have like the other questions I want to ask a little bit because that's also personal. Like I have a lot of friends which are very educated people, by the way. They got master's degree. They've been working as engineers, and they've been trading options for a while.
mm,
So this comes another surprise to a lot of Muslims because even they're educated and everything, they still like when it comes to halal investing, and still we talking about halal investing 101, right? So this another question comes in. Uh, for example, like if you want to talk about about futures options, like all those, like anything built like on the derivatives, you would say that why they're not Sharia compliant? Because that's a big surprise for a lot of Muslims.
yeah, so look, derivatives are a suite of asset classes which many a time as a retail trader you'll have like access to perhaps options, right? And but it's really the financial institutions will be which will be using things like swaps. Forwards and futures you can also invest into and gain access to, but less so. I think options perhaps are one of the most favored types of like investments at a retail level. But the problem with derivatives is that the Sharia paradigm for investing is that you must be taking ownership, bearing the risk of the underlying. With derivatives, what it is, you are building a trade base which is on top of assets. So everybody's trading, but really the assets are not being traded. You're trading on top of that. So your commitments, your promises, your obligations are just word of mouth. You're just creating a web of claims. Now that's a problem from a Sharia perspective because sh the entire Sharia kind of philosophy is based on trade, real trade. It's not artificial, it's not financialization, it's not synthetic, it's none of that. It's real investments, real trade, real assets. And that's why this derivative market is just a reflection of the real world. It's not real. Like when you're trading options, you're not buying and selling stock. You're just selling the right, or the choice, the right to buy, the right to sell, a call or put option. Or if you're trading futures, most of these futures and forwards are customized OTC over the counter type transactions. Futures are the more kind of standardized and what's like liquid in the markets and what's traded and exchanged and settled. So, but most of the futures contracts are really cash settled. Nobody or very few people really go into a futures market wanting delivery of oil or soya beans or whatever it may be after 3 months or 2 months. That never happens. It's more about just hedging, managing your risk, and you're more concerned with your exposure perhaps somewhere else. So you're just netting it off and you're managing your own risk here. From a Sharia perspective, you're not really then trading in assets. There's millions. The derivatives market is huge. Millions, billions are traded. But what is that money doing? It's just a transaction of money for money, claims, and you're settling. The money is not being diverted or directed to real assets. And therefore, it's more about betting. That's what it is.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you, if you think about it at the bot, it's just purely betting. I'm taking a view that this stock will go in this way. You're taking the opposite view as a broker, perhaps. And where we have just two opposite views, and the entire system works like that, where it's just about money management, hedging, risk management, perhaps exposure. That's for us. This is what's happening in this market. Whereas from a Sharia perspective, your money should be being channeled. Of course, you can mitigate risk from a Sharia perspective. And there are methods to mitigate risk from a Sharia perspective. But in this particular manner, that's the problem because these are not real assets. What's an option? What are you actually buying? You're paying a premium for what? The choice or the right to exercise something. That is not an asset which the Sharia recognizes. Likewise, the futures and forwards, it's the transaction is always contingent upon the future. It's forwarded to the future. Again, that's a problem because what if it doesn't take place, which typically is the case? That's a gharar, that's uncertainty from a Sharia perspective. So these are some of the reasons why these derivative agreements
Yes.
are problematic from a Sharia lens.
I'd also like to add my comments. Again, as you said that there is real amount that, for example, if I sell something real asset to you, you're gonna pay real amount, right? But in when it comes to derivative markets, it's called like notional amount. That's like made up. For example, like you talk about the swap. The biggest one is interest rate swap, which is already not Sharia compliant. But the way it is, like they say, let's assume that there's gonna be like $100 million. We set the notional, which means like out of thin air. So
Mm,
now we're gonna fixed rate, like let's say 5% fixed rate, and then there's something called variable. So we're gonna switch the difference. That's how we're gonna like basically hedging ourselves. It's called zero sum game at the end, but again, that notional 100 million, where did it come from, right? So if you add the notional, that's like a trillions of dollars. It's like mind-boggling. I think last time we checked, it was like it's like a quadrillion dollars, something like that,
mm,
if not mistaken. So again, and also like for example, you brought up future wise, like for example, forward. Let's say forward, right? It's like OTC. Yeah, it's more like a written man. It's like it's not like traded in the exchanges like like futures. For example, they say, well, in 3 months, you have an orange. I want to make orange juice. I have a company. In 3 months, I will buy each 1 kilogram orange, $5 a kilogram, no matter what happens in the market.
mm,
So, and then we have a contract. So first of all, there's no orange, you know, there's no orange yet. So basically, I'm selling you right to buy my orange that I don't even own yet. And I
mm,
think that's from Sharia perspective, as we know, that even in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you have to say, Inshallah, you cannot sell what you don't own. I think
mm,
that's one of the biggest thing, if I'm not mistaken, right? From Sharia perspective, you can't sell because you don't own it. You're just promising to sell something you don't own. And I think that makes a little more sense. Like, how do you sell the asset you don't own, right? Or the right to
exactly.
sell it. So that makes more sense. Okay. I do have some more questions because I know there's tons of questions coming in, but I want to go with the most asked questions. And we will also get like a little bit later, if you don't mind, how Mustafa can help with that solution. Like So before that, let's go over a couple more questions, if you don't mind, please. So a lot of people ask about this is one of the biggest questions we have nonstop. They're asking about the cryptos. I'm pretty sure that you get that questions a lot more than we do. Like people want to jump in crypto. For me, for example, personally, I don't trade in cryptos. I sell like, well, for me, I'm more on conservative side. I like to analyze. I really see what's behind. Like if it's a company, it's easier to because you can make decisions based on how much revenue, how many customers they have, and what's the growth rate, right? You can make some kind of decision based on the stock price you're paying. But cryptos is a little bit like I would say that it's kind of harder to analyze. But from that perspective, if you want to tell like what do you think about the cryptos? Again, this is the one of the most asked questions.
Mm. So look, this is what you highlighted just right now about the fundamentals is perhaps the most important point with crypto as well, because the way the crypto industry works is many a time, or most of the time, uh, issuing a crypto and what's called as an ICO, initial coin offering. This is done to just raise funds for a project, and the project owners will typically have a white paper where they'll be promising that they'll be doing X, Y, and Z in the future or in the near future. And it's that promise of theirs and the market kind of reaction and market sentiment on that, which is kind of like creating the value for it almost and driving the value. Now, from a Sharia perspective, what's really important is understanding the utility of a token. Like, what is a digital asset actually doing? Is it serving a genuine use case? Is it doing something? Because there's thousands, like over 20,000 tokens out there. Over 20,000. And many of them are not doing anything. They're really not doing anything. Now they're just being used speculatively. Like people are simply just buying, selling with an a hope that it'll increase in value and they'll make some profit. But nobody really cares about the underlying what's happening. There are other tokens, the digital assets, which genuinely add value. For instance, Bitcoin. It genuinely is used as a remittance service. It's used for hedging. It's used for saving purposes. If you ask people who are living in emerging markets, for them, saving in Bitcoin or having access to Bitcoin, it's a necessity because inflation in their countries might be really high. So a person is working 1, 2, 3, 4 months, but the value of his earnings completely goes. Whereas if he just puts that into Bitcoin or a USDT or Tether, right? At least that preserves their hard-earned labor and efforts. So some digital assets actually add value, but from a Sharia perspective, we want to make sure the utility of the token is sound. Many tokens out there are simply released with this idea that it's a currency. Right? If it's just acting as a currency, really they're not a currency because a currency is a medium of exchange. These things are not being used as a medium of exchange. They're literally being just traded in markets. Who's using them to make payments? Right? And that's why it's very important. Many of these tokens, which call themselves currencies, we need more review and are concerning. So the token utility is extremely important. The purpose of the blockchain, the protocol, what is it doing? What's the purpose of the blockchain? Is it recording transactions? Which transactions are being recorded? What's being processed? If it's like Ethereum, okay, you're running smart contracts. What for? What's happening? All these are questions that need to be reviewed. And that's why to develop a Sharia screening for crypto is extremely difficult because everything is nuanced. It's like you're dealing with 20,000 different ideas almost, right? How do you capture that in data? It's very difficult. But that's from a kind of like overview about crypto. I would avoid things like meme coins. I would avoid tokens which are clearly doing something unlawful. For instance, there are some tokens and digital assets out there which stream unlawful content, illicit content, or AVE, for instance, where you can do interest-based lending. So there are platforms out there, DeFi platforms, decentralized finance platforms, which allow you to borrow money in crypto or borrow crypto with interest payments. That would, of course, not be Sharia compliant. So these are some examples that you need to look out for. But with crypto, as always, it requires, I would definitely tell people to do much more review and be more cautious as opposed to stocks, which is the data is easily available.
Thank you so much. And I want to share something I was just discussing because I think it's a big part of education. We did in-depth analysis, our research, because we have over 20 equity research analysts. They did the in-depth research, brother. And then we found out, okay, what is actually Sharia compliant when it comes to liquid assets? Because there's always, as you said, that they can invest in a property, right? They can buy a house, but if they, let's say they want to sell it, like it might take 1 day to 1 year, maybe more. So there's no liquidity in there. So a lot of people they want to invest in some liquid assets that they can cash out whenever they need the money, right? So
Mm.
based on that, if you don't mind, I'll share the screen quickly. So just 1 second. Let's see. Let me slideshow from current. Okay. So now you should be able to see my screen. Let me know. Just 1 second. Uh,
Yeah, it's visible.
okay. So if you look at my screen right now, and you guys can see this is we came up with we call it global liquid assets. As you see, a majority of them are not Sharia compliant. And so basically, when we did the research, about $148 trillion with the T, not B, with the T, right? Or about 33% of all liquid asset class. Because, market fluctuates. It's just an estimate when it comes to that because it fluctuates every day. So about 1/3 of it is actually fixed income securities, which is like interest rate based. And that's not Sharia compliant, as you know. It's like it's as if it's in black and white, I believe, right? So and now, of course, you have like money market funds and deposits, like you deposit in the bank. Now it's accruing interest. So what I'm going to do with that interest part? Or we do have derivatives. I said it's just the market value. It's not notional because if you include the notional, as I said, you can make up the numbers when it comes to derivatives, right? Especially that's called notional amount. That can be in like trillions. So here's just basically 17 trillion is a market value. And cryptos we put in a place that we need to more research. That's why it's in orange color. So we still, inshallah, Mustafa is going to get into that, do more research going forward. Right now, we are fixated on what's actually tangible right now, what we can analyze. And out of that, about, as you can see, about close to $90 trillion stocks that's not Sharia compliant. Could be big major banks, or it could be some other industries, for example, we don't agree with. And if you go next slide, it shows about still like 32 trillion of market is available for Muslims to invest from Sharia perspective. That's estimated based on our research. And that's only 7% of the asset class.
Oh.
Imagine as Muslim, we are completely limited what we can invest when it comes to because this financial system, traditional financial system, is not built on Islamic principles, but we're still carving out the part that we can still like take we can still use. I think that 7% seems not a lot. It's not a lot when you compare to like 100%. It's very minuscule. But again, but it's still at $32 trillion. The pain is that it's still like from Sharia perspective, it's a lot, but still Muslims not taking advantage of that. For example, like I like to bring this example as Apple iPhone. You ask a lot of people, it's cost, well, let's say $1,000. You say, how this Apple, like the phone you paid 1,000, how long did it take you to save? Some people say 1 month, some people say 1 year, depending on the location. But then ask the next question, okay, who do you think actually makes money from the other side, from this one iPhone you paid for? And that's they get in a shock because they never thought about it. They just think completely as a consumer. When you say that, they're like, "Oh, I didn't think about it." Yeah, Warren Buffett does make billions from you. So while it's become a Sharia compliant, why don't you take advantage of that? That's why Musaffa comes in. We need to solve the first problem before coming innovating a lot of products, which inshallah we will. But in the meantime, let's do the most basic thing: give access to Sharia compliant investment market. So let them start taking their share. In case of Apple, let them not just be the consumer, but be on the other side receiving dividends, right? So I think this is a very important thing I really wanted to share, and I think the visualization kind of like should help with that. So, and before we go further, like of course we have some more questions, but I think that was more. Hopefully that what I shared was makes makes a little
Absolutely.
things.
Brilliant, brilliant information.
Yeah, makes things obvious because a lot of Muslims, and actually I put that Mustafa unlocks Sharia compliant investment universe. It's on the page. We'll get to that, Musaffa, how they can screen stocks and ETFs in a minute. But before that, we still have a couple of questions we need to clear. And one of the most biggest the questions we get before we do a little bit demo on the Musaffa's platform, how they can use the platform to make informed Sharia compliant decisions when it comes to investments. Okay, so again, $32 trillion is huge, it's
Mm.
with the T. But unfortunately, like in our case, a lot of Muslims they're not taking advantage of that, and we are here to change that, right? We want to help them to actually get more educated so they can participate in financial markets globally. So let me come back to one of the questions we get often. A lot of people say, "Is day trading halal? Can I buy and sell like in the same day or stuff like that?" If you can answer that question, it would clear up a lot of people questions.
Yeah, so if you're day trading where the transaction is being it's going through like the settlement kind of and clearance where it's going beyond the broker, it's not on the broker's books alone. The problem with that is we don't know when settlement takes place. That's why scholars typically say, because we can't ascertain this until T plus one or T plus two, you should wait and thereafter trade. This is a typical general ruling in the market. Where there's a possibility where, for instance, you're trading on an app which the trade and transaction is matched on their own order books. So they're not going further on because many of these brokers and platforms are managing an order book and they simply, if you put a sell order, there's somebody else who's put a buy order, they simply match it on their own books. They're the nominee as far as the wider market is concerned. So the shares are registered in their name. When that's the case, there's typically more possibility to do day trading because you gain ownership on their books immediately and it's registered in your name. But so this is the kind of like technicality here, and that's not always clear either. So because of these question marks and there's a lack of clarity, scholars typically advise against practicing day trading until you are certain that you've actually become the owner on record as well as the one who bears the liability of the underlying risk or stock.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want to present Musaffa's platform. Why? Because some of the important questions derive from that. For example, once I do that, we're gonna get into concept. One of the questions asking, well, why is the Sharia compliant if the company has a debt and they're paying interest?
Mhm.
Uh, you say it's 30% limit. Where did it come from? Or why is purification? What is this? Why is mandatory? I think once I display on the platform, it becomes like
Sure.
visualization. It helps a lot better. So let me actually share our platform that Musaffa is working right now. So as you guys can see, Alhamdulillah, we have over 538,000 people coming from over 200 different countries, Alhamdulillah. And we already analyzed over 121,000 stocks globally. That's like I don't know if any other company actually even came close to that, Alhamdulillah. So when you go stock halal, if you go musaffa.com, you click on like halal stock screener here. So for example, from United States, and we want to see like from United States, I want to see, as you see, 5,500 stock from United States are screened, 5,500. But as a Muslim, I don't want to deal with, I don't want to take time and find out why Berkshire Hathaway is not halal, JP Morgan is not halal, Walmart is doubtful. I will just go and click on halal only. I'm only interested in halal stocks. And we even went further. Halal means Sharia compliant is not enough. So we graded them from C minus to A plus because there are levels. As again, this brother asked question about what about this 30% interest, the 30%, where did it come from, right? They're paying like interest expense or they're paying like for their loan, they're paying interest. So now you can also choose it based on the actually ratings. A plus means like they got the least amount of revenue that's derived from non-halal source, least amount of interest income, and least amount of debt, interest-bearing debt, least amount that interest-bearing securities. So that also goes A plus means that is one of the top, right? C minus basically they barely passed. For example, if you go Apple here, it just barely passed. So what it means when we go financial reports, right here, we have detailed reports. If you see detailed reports, about 95.2% of the stocks are Sharia compliant. I mean, like the earnings, or you can say the revenue is Sharia compliant, but they still have like a gray area, which is doubtful. They have Apple Music, they have some advertising, And also they have non-halal portion. And if you go here, detailed report, it breaks it down. What Sharia iPhone, Mac, iPad, all those Sharia compliant. We still have Apple Music and advertising. That's the gray area, most likely not Sharia compliant. But and you have this interest income, right? So we break it down. So now the question, before we go further, and as I said, this platform you can choose multiple different markets. Musaffa is has, as you can see, global coverage. Even we include like Nigeria, you see Mexico, New Zealand, so a lot of different countries included, right? So when you go there, of course, if you go UK, right? UK is actually one of the big market that we have. We already cover 1,400 stocks. 1437. But if I say I want to own this in halal, that still gives 314 stocks. So you can do in-depth research. But coming back to Apple case, in our case, right? So the question comes in. That's the next question I would love to ask you, brother Mufti Faraz. So they ask a question. Okay, if this company, I think you answered that in a previous webinar, but still there are a lot of new people here. So they say, what does it mean like 95% revenue? Why is it halal? Or what does it mean that what is AOV? Because we say here specifically here screening methodology AOV, and we following like strictly AOV methodology. A lot of people are not aware with that concept or what's AOV, or they want to say, okay, why am I allowed to invest in this company since the if the revenue is not 100% halal? That becomes, I think if you could answer first, introduce the AOV,
Yeah,
we are,
yeah, sure.
and then
So I
introduce, yes.
so IOFI stands for the Accounting and Auditing Organization of Islamic Financial Institutions. IOFI, that's what it means. Why is IOFI? IOFI was set up in the late 1980s, early 1990s, and it's headquartered in Bahrain. It's an initiative to really standardize the global Islamic finance market. That's what it was. And it has members which are financial institutions, Islamic financial institutions. The goal of the standards was to kind of create guidance based on the Sharia scholars coming together and debating, discussing different issues, contemporary issues, and developing standards, which would then be also have feedback and discussions from practitioners. And the end result is after 1, 2 years of worth of work, every year there's some standards that are created. So now it's been what, almost over 30 years worth of effort. And there's over 60 standards now in the IOP Sharia standards. But this particular screening that you see and the reference that we are making at Musaffa, this comes from IOFI Standard 21 on financial papers, as well as IOFI Standard 59, which is on the sale of debt. So the contemporary Sharia screening stems from these standards, from the IOFI Sharia standards. Now, if we just discuss briefly what is the screening or what's the rationale of all of this? Where has it come from and why? The discussion was you are investing in stocks, as we just mentioned, it's only about 7-8% Sharia compliant liquid assets available. In the UK, I think you mentioned about 130, 140 from 1,000 something,
No,
right?
no, it's a 300.
300, was it 300? Yeah, 300. So already 1,000 less from whatever's accessible. So you're investing in markets or you, especially funds. Now you had pension funds, you had financial institutions which had a legal requirement to invest monies in their funds and portfolios in liquid assets like stocks and so on and so forth. So the question came is how do we then invest in these asset classes when some of these companies earn interest, some of these companies borrow with interest? How do we go about this? This question was raised to a panel of Sharia scholars in the early 1990s. And it's based on this continuous debate, discussion, analysis, and review. They created a framework and they said, look, there's a clear difference between a person investing and owning a business directly. So if I run a business, all Sharia scholars will tell you you can't sell alcohol, you can't sell pork because you have direct control, you have management rights, everything is there, and you're responsible fully. You have full control of this. Likewise, you can't borrow with interest because here you're making a decision, You're in control, you're in charge, it's your business. That's very obvious. But when it comes to shares and stocks, that's not the case. I've invested, and in reality, I don't own the underlying assets. I just have a claim on the company. From a legal perspective, corporate law perspective, when I invest in shares, I don't own the MacBook and the iPhone when I invest in Apple. The assets of Apple are owned by Apple, the company. I simply have claims on the company itself, but I don't own the underlying assets. Secondly, I no matter how much I object to interest-based financing, and no matter how much I raise my voice in annual general meetings, it's not going to make much of a difference. It's the truth. Furthermore, majority, if not all of the C-suite executives, the management, the board of directors, they're not Muslims. So for them, obviously, they are not going to be thinking of Sharia financing. Likewise, they're headquartered in places where perhaps even Sharia financing is not available. So with all these different considerations, how can a Muslim investor be responsible and liable for something he has no decision or control in? So these were some of the questions that were raised. Hence, the scholars said, look, with the current market, where really there's no global Sharia financing available, you're investing in companies which are based in distant lands, which have no Sharia finance there. How do we allow Muslims to invest? Is there a way for a Muslim to invest in these companies? Because majority of it is halal. The underlying operations are halal. But just that they're taking financing, and it's a non-Muslim taking financing. How do we go about that? And it's not the same as a classical business partnership. Because here, it's not like me running the show up here. I have no say whatsoever. So the structure of joint stock companies is very different to a classical business partnership. It was on the back of that, then scholars said, look, we need to create some kind of thresholds which allow us to kind of limit the exposure to impure gain as well as unlawful activity like interest-based lending, because that's not permissible. It's never permissible. But what can we say? Okay, given the fact that you don't have control, you don't really own the underlying, that this is an amount which can be overlooked, and it's something which is can't be ascribed to you. Like you've done what you can to save yourself from this kind of interest-based activity. Hence, the scholars came up with this 30% on interest-based borrowings, 30% on non-Sharia compliant receivable investments, as whether that's interest or other securities, and likewise impure income being 5% from total revenue, income being 5%. This is what they had settled upon. But these again are not fixed and set in stone. This is something important. People think that this is now it's not in the Quran and Sunnah as 5% is allowed. That's not the case. None of it's allowed. But this is based on the principles of necessity, principles of a lack of alternatives being available, and coupled with all of that is you have to purify anyway. So you're kind of removing the impurity before it comes to you. And with those guidelines, scholars have said, look, a person can participate because they, especially for these pension funds, there was a legal requirement to do so, to invest. So because of that legal requirement and that necessity, the kind of like permission was given. After that, then this became rolled out globally, and it was used as a reference now for anyone investing in these markets where there's no other alternatives available.
Yes, I see more questions coming up. I wish we had all the time in the world, but the webinar will end soon. So what I would love to suggest, like Brother Ali from Musaffa will collect all the questions. Please share your emails with Brother Ali and your questions. Inshallah, our goal is to answer them one by one after the webinar through email as well. So please, again, the questions are coming nonstop, which is good news, but I wish we had more time. But in the meantime, another concept I want to bring up, brother, I think a related concept again, specifically about this concept of purification. I think this is one of the biggest things that when it comes to investment, that even like people with, again, very educated master's degree engineers, they have, some of them, most of them, they have not even heard about this concept purification. For example, when we come this Apple, one of the examples, right? 95% too. So basically, the goal is this. We are a little bit more conservative on the side because there are some, they call it like dividend purification, but we don't really believe in it because it's a cosmetic change for, we can explain it in depth later. But the goal is like, for example, very common sense. If I invest in Apple, let's say I make $100 profit. So I want to keep $95.20 to myself. Anything that comes from non-halal sources for sure, like doubtful or not halal income. So $4.80, this needs to go to charity. We call it like purification process. So any stock you own, almost none of the stocks in the world, almost, there are a few exceptions. Even like let's say we want to choose like here halal stocks and we want to choose only A plus. When it says A plus, let's say this company like let's go this company. Why is it A plus? First of all, if you look at their revenue, you will see that 99.95%. Still, they have 0.05% that comes from most likely interest income. So they do have, even their financials, if you look at it financials wise, um, so if you look at their interest bearing, they're very almost 4% out of 30%, which is like interest bearing debt, which means like the debt that the company has, um, how many, what's the percentage when it compared to its market capitalization? It's only 4%, or this one is 0.39. So this is a literally A plus stock. But even this stock has this little bit portion. Actually, we can actually go ahead and convert to cash. If you convert to cash, so they made about almost 3.556 million from interest income. So the question comes, what do I do with this? Can I invest in it? So that's when the brother Mufti Faraz was is talking about the 5% rule, right? That based on AFM methodology. So as long as Sharia compliant revenue is more than 95%, we can invest. But we still have even the best of the companies, usually they will have some portion they have somehow uh, involved with the interest. And that might not be intention of the company at all. But still, so if you want to look, Brother Faraz, Adam, please, if you can explain the purification process, why it's mandatory, it's not an optional, and literally it's a part of Sharia law as far as we know. If you can just give a little bit
Yeah.
so that people really understand, because when we say Sharia halal, what do people do unknowingly? They go buy the stock, they make the money, they keep everything, and they don't give it to charity. When you tell them, like, I never knew about this concept. Why is it mandatory?
Yeah, so the reason why purification is necessary is because based on the IOFI understanding and the kind of Islamic finance understanding in the market, you are a shareholder and you have a beneficial interest and ownership in the underlying company and the operations. Given that's the case, if it's involved in activity of selling services or goods which are non-Sharia compliant, you as a shareholder, as a Muslim shareholder, you're not entitled to that revenue. It's like me selling something in my store which is unlawful or providing an unlawful service. The money that I gain from that, it's not lawful for me to keep because what I earned or how I earned that money was unlawful. I sold something unlawful in Sharia, or a service was provided which was not Sharia compliant. That's why that money is unwarranted, is unjustified for me to keep. I have to give it away. And that's the idea of purification. Now, this earning of mine, it's not justified. It's not pure for me because I earned it in a way which was non-Sharia compliant. It was not aligned with the principles of Sharia. And therefore, whenever you have this data available, or you can go on Musaffa and you can see the purification amount based on there's different formulae that you can use. There's like three different famous formulae. Whether you're using interest income purification or dividend purification, or the most conservative one is the not halal income purification, which covers everything. Perhaps, and that for me personally, that's the best one, where you actually get rid of whether there's a dividend declared distributed or not. You can see the impure earnings, and you, as a shareholder, should be concerned that this is retained earnings or profits, which you have a slice of, and it's not pure for you as a Muslim. You've earned interest on cash held in a bank account that needs to be given away in charity. This is what purification is all about. It's about purifying gain which is not really lawful for you. And from a Sharia perspective, why is that so important? Because we know the importance in Islam when it comes to halal earnings. One of the major barriers for our dua, your supplications, to be not accepted, the barrier for that is unlawful earnings. That's a massive thing. So every day, every one of us in this call, we're making dua to Allah that, oh Allah, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this for my child, I want this for my parents, I want good health, all of these things. But you are earning unlawful income perhaps on your stocks, and you're not even purifying, or you're working somewhere and gaining unlawful income. Now, this can be a barrier for the acceptance of your du'as. That's why it's so important in the day and age that we live in. We all have needs. We need to make sure our income is completely pure.
Yes. And Musaffa makes it super easy because we don't even have to go one by one. We do have something called like purification calculator. You just only need to go. You enter, for example, like let's say I bought some Tesla or let's say Apple stock for this case, right? I bought Apple shares. Let's say I got 546 shares. I bought like during this date. You can put any date and you can just, let's say I sell it today, calculate my purification amount, right? That's the one I need to give to charity. So it does $388 needs to go. How did I get there? Click on it. It shows you you got this many shares, you held it for 219 days, and then exactly it calculates it for you. So again, there is no reason or excuse not to purify your wealth. Again, as our dear brother Mufti Faraz said that we need to make sure that our earnings are completely Sharia compliant. So Musaffa has over like 20, close to 20, 24 analysts. They work like not 5, even 6 days a week, analyze every single company in depth, and then every single stock that you guys see here, it goes through multiple analysts, at least 3 analysts for quality purposes. One analyst analyzed from Sharia perspective, second one reanalyze, third one reanalyze and publish. So it has to go through extensive. That's one of the reasons I'm really proud to say that Alhamdulillah, if you guys see our ratings, we actually almost hit 1 million downloads right now. Out of that 7,620 reviews, we got 4.8 because usually people leave really nice feedback uh, because of the work we've done, right? The reason I'm trying to say it because I think this the Musaffa platform is evolving as we speak. We cover almost all market, not even that. With the brother, of course, with brother Mufti Faraz, personally, I we worked actually with Dr. Aznan to develop world first true ETF screener, halal ETF screener. So of course we can, inshallah, on our pipeline, we want to build Musaffa's own ETFs, halal ETFs. But in the meantime, why reinvent the wheel? So we went there and we actually analyzed ETFs. If I say like 2,981 ETFs in US, let's say halal ones, so Alhamdulillah, 6 to 2 ETF become Sharia compliant. And every single ETF, we also give a score -C to A plus. For example, the semiconductor ETF, you can see got A plus. So this is something investable, and we do have a Sharia certificate actually signed by Mufti Faraz, brother Mufti Faraz Adam and Dr. Aznan. And then we worked quite a bit on that. I think we worked 6 to 9 months to get approval. We have to go back and forth because
Yeah.
make a lot of adjustment. But it's one of the things that actually a lot of people might feel like, oh, well, I don't want to invest in stock because it's risky. Then ETFs an option. Now you have like 62 different ETFs you can invest. Same logic applies. You still have to purify it. So I think that that's very important that people know that there's actually way to invest Sharia compliant way, and Musafa is working really hard to make it easy for Muslims globally. And brother, we have only like 10 minutes left. But in the meantime, again, I wish we had to go through like there's so many questions. They're coming nonstop. People asking about questions. But I told them, please ask your email. Also, like actually, if you guys can write, we do have a support also we can answer. And 1 second. And just make sure that you mention you came from webinar. This is another way we can collect your feedback, the questions, and we can answer. We are here to, we are very, very passionate about educating. We learn and we educate. We just pass it, right? But Alhamdulillah. So there's a lot of questions. If you don't mind, maybe I'll take 1 or 2 questions before we end the call. And as I said, Musaffa platform is there. Inshallah, please sign up. It's for free and start using it. There's, of course, there's like premium features that we work hard. Some people ask why you don't make everything for free. I wish we could, but we still have to pay everybody's salaries and everything. But there is a still 1 month free trial. and I would love for you to guys really sign up. In 10 minutes, we're gonna provide the code. You can sign up. I think it's valid for like very few hours, so you cannot be used like after a day or two. So please sign up for free trial. Last time we had a webinar, we have a lot of people sign up that they start seeing real value in the platform because it's not Musaffa, it's not about Musaffa, but the platform like Musaffa is not optional for Muslims. It's almost impossible to calculate every purification, every stock you analyze, right? And we've done it for you. So we want you to come and sign up for free trial and for 1 month and use it. And see like also ask all the questions because we get tons of feedback and we take that and we build the platform for you, specifically customized based on the feedback. So without further, there's a lot of questions coming in. For example, one question, and we do have a solution, like partial solution for that, but this is a question, brother. They're asking, oh, I bought the stock for halal and it became not halal. What I'm supposed to do? Am I supposed to sell it even if I'm on loss? So I'm stuck. One of the questions we get that a lot.
Yeah, so if a stock becomes non-compliant, which you've invested in, the industry practice and scholars who are working in this space have said, look, there is a grace period that you can apply, which is a 90-day grace period. So if you apply a 90-day grace period, and after the 90 days, if it's still unlawful, then you must exit and purify any gain that's been achieved, as well as any dividend that was distributed in that period. You'd have to get rid of it. But if it becomes Sharia compliant again after the 90-day grace period, then you can hold on to that particular asset and continue benefiting from it. And that will just be seen as an anomaly. And the reason why this is the case, remember, a stock is in the price is every day fluctuating based on macroeconomic factors, micro factors. Even if there's an emergency in the company, needs to borrow some money or something else. But the market cap continuously is changing and is responding to macroeconomic factors. That's why there can be scenarios where it'll become non-Sharia compliant, but not due to any fault of the stock. Rather, it'll be macro reasons that all the stocks have taken a hit. That's why the scholars give this kind of grace period and allow some kind of flexibility here. Otherwise, people would be continuously selling, buying immediately, which would cause difficulty for people.
Yeah, very good answer. But I want to add something very important to this as well. So, as I said on the platform, this is why we came with the ratings. I just displayed you guys A plus stock, right? A plus means very Sharia compliant. Like when it comes to levels, it has a list amount of like non-Sharia compliant revenue. It has a list amount of debt, interest bearing. So, if you look at this one, I would suggest that, for example, that's why I suggest using Musaffa. Uh, Come into halal stock from US and say I want to invest anything above B plus to A plus. In that case, at least for next quarter, probability is lower is going to non-halal because it's not on the borderline. That's why I would stay away somewhere like CC minus because it's like very close to being non-Sharia compliant. So next quarter it might become non-Sharia compliant. We don't know. Allah knows best, but probability is high, right? Compared to somebody like very like for example the one I just shared recently had uh, A plus, which has a very high Sharia compliance. Okay, so for example, as I was saying, if you go with the A plus, let's say that any stock like let's say A plus, right? It just goes in, let's say another company, let's say this company. I'm not aware of which company, but let's say look at this company. So when you look at again, 99.33% Sharia compliant, very few. And then you see that it has a list amount of interest bearing assets. It's gonna have a list amount of interest bearing debt, right? So it's taking some time, but as you can see here. 3% and 2%. Very Sharia compliant when it comes to that. So I would stay close to something above B plus, just to make sure that I don't want to take risks. But again, the caution is like I'm talking from only Sharia perspective, not from profitability, fundamentals. Inshallah, we have a plan very soon. We are gonna be building fundamentals to, inshallah, our goal is to build like 650 to 60,000 companies. We wanna we want to build fundamentals as Musaffa has on the pipeline. So when we do that, inshallah, one day comes, we will also be able to tell you, look, this is A plus or Sharia compliance like A plus. It's also very profitable. we predict this is gonna like have this much return. Inshallah, that's coming soon. But at this stage, at least you know what to invest, what to not to invest by using Musaffa's platform. I think it adds to the answer, brother Mufti Faraz.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We can take one more question, inshallah, before we end the call. Is it okay?
Yep, let's go.
Yep.
Let's do that.
Okay. So again, there's a lot of questions. I'm trying to go over one by one, but there's a lot of them. But I'm gonna try to get one actually interesting one. Uh, okay. So I have this question. People are asking about investing in treasuries. They're asking if we invest U.S. government bonds, why is not Sharia compliant? Because they justifying, but understandably they saying, well, I might get interest like 5%, but again, 5% is also inflation, so actually I'm not making money. So these are one of the interesting questions we get once in a while.
Yeah, so I mean, look, these fixed income securities, these bonds, they are like they are loans at the end of the day, right? And they're still non-Sharia compliant. Many of them are even discounted or traded. You're trading debt on a market. You can't trade debt with anyone else who's not the debtor. So in this, you're trading debt for debt with other people or debt for money with other potential buyers. That's from a Sharia perspective, that's also not permissible. The only time you can trade debt is if you are the creditor, money is owed to you, and you trade that debt with the debtor himself. So you say to the debtor, I'll buy this phone that you're selling in lieu of the debt that you owe me. That is permissible. The reason why scholars don't allow trading of debt because debt is not really an asset from a Sharia perspective in a real sense. It's just a claim. And so if you're trading these claims with other people, it creates a fragility in the markets because now there's claims all spread across the entire system, and that creates the contagion and systemic risk.
Well, thank you so much, brother Mufti Faraz, for your very valuable time. I think it's been amazing. As I said, like the questions keep coming, but please email to support or you provide your email so we can email for you. We are here to serve you, and inshallah, we'll be able to answer all those questions. If not, then we'll also go back to Mufti Faraz again. We have these questions. So
Mhm.
thank you so much for your time and valuable time. I really appreciate that. In the meantime, Brother Ali, if you can post that code. So we
Yes.
have to Musaffa's platform. We have an amazing app, by the way. We just released a very sleek, modern fintech design app, very convenient to use.
Yes. So I'm going to share the free trial code. This is for our premium subscription. It's valid for a month. So this code is only valid if you try it on the website, through the website, Web 14 trial. It is only valid for the next 3 hours. If you want to sign up, we can sign up within the next 3 hours. You cannot be a current paying user to use this free trial. And if you do not cancel this trial, your credit card will be charged after the month. So keep that in mind. One of the things that I would like to show here is, I'm not sure if you guys could see the screen. If when you're signing up, just make sure to move this toggle to a monthly premium, sorry, a monthly billing cycle so that it registers your free trial correctly into the system. And one of the things before I close, I wanted to share with our listeners here, people who've gathered, were everything that Mufti Faraz and Dilshod, Brother Dilshod have talked about today. We at Musaffa are going to make it, we are making it happen for you and for all of the Muslims around the world, people who are looking to get into the financial markets, etc. So we're taking that step to make it easy for you. And what we're doing now is we're raising capital, to be able to do that more efficiently and to be able to scale it across the world as well. So what we're looking for is your support by becoming an investor in Musaffa. We have a crowdfunding campaign currently going on. We can reach out to each one of you if you've dropped your email address in the chat. What we'll do, we'll make sure to answer all of your questions that you've posted. And if you have any other questions or inquiries, like we will be reaching out to you, myself and my colleagues will be reaching out to you as well. Maybe, to provide you more information about becoming an investor in Musaffa as well. So we'll look forward to those conversations with you as well.
Yeah, brother, share the link, invest.musaffa.com. Please,
Yes.
again, whoever wants to invest halal way and invest and support the company, they can go invest.musaffa.com and all the terms and conditions over there. You can just go and invest. So far, Alhamdulillah, with the help of community, Mufti Faraz, Adam, we were able to raise, since inception, we were able to raise over $5 million by now.
Brother Ali, can you share this screen for a few minutes of the
Yes, please.
investmusaffa.com?
Yes, of
That would be
course.
very, very helpful
Absolutely.
for the people to guide themselves to see that
Yeah.
visually which website they would need to go
Yeah.
eventually when they're looking for investmusaffa.com. And it's, we usually share it over our webinars, that this is one of our largest effort for making Musaffa available to our community, right? And that you can support us through this effort, where it takes us to another level, right? And it keeps supporting you. It can keep building this technology. We just talked about the IOFI and how those rules are complicated. But what Musaffa is basically doing to making all of those rules through technology available to all of you, and then we keep building on it. So that, but we need your support, and we are the company which is very focused on the community support, right? And very community oriented. Thank you.
So this is the website. If you were looking to invest Halal Now is the button where you can go. And we, like I've mentioned, we will be reaching out to you as well. So this webinar was one of the many series that Mufti Faraz is going to be doing with us in the future as well, going forward. So we will be sending out notifications for the webinars in the future as well. Come prepared with the questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, brother Mufti Faraz. You can drop out. Thank you so much for your time, valuable time. Inshallah, yes, we will be recording and inshallah sharing the video as well.
Yeah. We have the trial code on the screen again. If people who are joining on, or if they've missed out, they can use this trial.
Brother Ali, can you do one walkthrough for people who are looking at the screen from the beginning, just how they go to musaffa.com, go to website, search it, and then go to the pricing. Even if you can walk them how to find the pricing section.
Yeah, so if you go to musaffa.com, and if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, that's where you would see the option to say pricing plans. If you click pricing plans, you will see all the pricing plans here. Like I've mentioned, just make sure to move this toggle into monthly billing so that your monthly trial goes in correctly. If you're looking to sign in or free sign up, this is right at the top right corner. This is the button here. So you click free sign up. Then put in your information, and then when it takes you to the payment page, that's where you put in the free trial, and it will your free trial will begin. The code is valid only for the next 3 hours, just so you know, and it will not be available after 3 hours. It is on the screen at the moment.
Brother Ali, people are asking if you have already an account. Can you explain if it is free account and if it is paid account, the difference? And
if it is a paid account, then if you're a paid user already, you're not able to use this free trial. It's only for new users.
And for new users, if they have, if they are if they are free users, they can use it too, right? But they have account.
Yes.
Yes. So it's for new users and free users, inshallah. So, but if you have account and you've been using it free user, you just go to your the portfolio, and there will be the account where you can change and upgrade, right? Then you go through a little bit different process. You just click upgrade there, and then it will ask you to make the payment. You have to choose the monthly one. Please don't make a mistake. If everyone is listening. So there are 2 options, right? If you are a free user or if you're a new user. If you're a new user, the process we showed, you go to the pricing, you choose the pricing, and you toggle to monthly, and then you enter your code when it asks you to, and you will see on the side, but don't do it through the app, please, because it only works through the website, because this is the only way we could set it up, the free trials. And then when you're free user who have already account, then you go to your portfolio profile section and click upgrade, and you will choose again the plan, and then you enter making the payment. But again, when you are already existing user, you probably downloaded and used the app. But at this time, please go to the website and then enter from there to your account, and then upgrade it, and then it will automatically update on your app too.
We'll leave it another like 3 or 4 minutes,
More
and then
minutes.
inshallah, yes, we'll
Sounds
end it. But in the meantime, please
um,
use it, web 14 trial, and use it. It's a premium, it's not starter, it's a premium, so you'll have access to most
premium.
features, including purification, in-depth research. Inshallah, coming soon. That's one of the reasons we were raising funds, because we completely uh, uh, depend on our community to support us. And Alhamdulillah, so far we had you guys can see like the success we had. We raised over $5 million, and investment came from more than 50 different countries. So anybody from any part of the world can invest, and all the details are at investmusaffa.com, invest.musaffa.com. And again, investing is also easy. Like literally takes about like the process takes about like 5 minutes. But please, again, the reason we don't talk about the details is everything's on the website, invest.musaffa.com. You can just go and visit, you can sign up, and you can join and be one of our supporters, inshallah. And we are growing quite fast. Our platform became, we can proudly say that literally like a top number one platform in the world in exactly what we do. We have the most coverage than any other company. We analyze over 100,000 stocks, and now we going in depth. Inshallah, as I said, soon fundamentals. Once we started, that's one of the reasons we're raising funds for. We start the fundamentals so that we can do in-depth research of stocks. And we, inshallah, our goal is to tell you, okay, this is a Sharia compliant, this is a very good company, but this is also profitable, and this is the expected return you can invest. And of course, like over time, we also want to start managing portfolios. This is one of the questions asked. Um, I saw that. Yes, inshallah, Musaffa has a plan to do managed portfolio for people who they don't have time to do research. We will manage their portfolios, and we will inshallah create customized ETFs. All those is coming. We're getting our license, all the things. But inshallah, that's one of the reasons we're raising funds. And I think you guys can find out investmentsoftware.com. Thank you.
Shadika, very
Um,
quickly, if you can give 1 or 2 minutes
sure.
why it is important our community to support Musaffa through crowdfunding. Just 1 or 2 minutes, because it's very important for them to hear from CEO. I would say.
Yes.
I know that it's not about going into details or terms or anything like that, but just
Okay.
general why it is important for a community to support us.
Yeah, definitely. So again, the reason is like we started this one instead of going to big institutions. We said, you know what, we don't want to compromise our vision and mission. We want to be true to our cause. Later on, we don't want the politics get into the middle. So to do that, we start talking to our user base. Our people come to the platform. We just tell them, that's what we're building. Why don't you be part of it? And one of the interesting part of it, it's also inshallah it's going to be profitable investments, because again, it's not about talking about investment, but you guys can see that the first investor who invested, right, based on today's valuation, it went up almost 10 times. So why is it so important? This is what I want to end the meeting with when it comes to investments. Yes, you might have a chance to invest in other companies, make money, but here when you invest, your money serves the Muslim Ummah. Your money serves to educate millions of Muslims to do right thing, to do invest halal way, to earn their profits in a halal way. So I think this is even bigger than like monetary, in my opinion. But still, like this is the part that a lot of Muslims coming and supporting us. They say, you know what? I want my money to serve Muslim company, Muslim vision and mission. I want my money to actually do a good deed other than just making money. So I think that's one of the reasons we had more than 13,000 people already. 13,000 people already showed interest to invest, and 750 to 800, alhamdulillah, they already invested. But the rest of them, it's taking a process to reach out and explain our vision and mission. And alhamdulillah, again, we've been blessed with a lot of investment from the community. And because when they know that this money serves to enhance the value proposition for Muslims globally, imagine giving sadaqah is really nice, but think about this is more education. When we teach them how to make money so that they take care of themselves, inshallah. Okay, that's it. That's it. I think that's why I want to bring it on. Please, again, go visit. It's there's like tons of information. Even though we are private company right now, the disclosure we did to for crowdfunding, it's like it's like a public company. We have 60 pages of information, financial information about the company's balance sheet, income statement, our product pipeline. Everything is on the platform. It's very easy. If you don't mind, I don't think it will be talking about the details, but so. Um, if we go investmusaffa.com and we click in here, we have offering circular, very important. A lot of people don't know. Offering circular, when they click offering circular, it takes them to the page that we filed with the Security Exchange Commission. It's about like 60 pages of information about our business plan, our financials, risk, and everything like we are supposed to give. We give right here. You can go in detail, so it's also like our investors who invested, we actually disclose every penny we raise is also be disclosed. As you can see, it's like 3 pages of investments, Alhamdulillah. And you guys can see the a lot of information from here, about 60 pages of information, Alhamdulillah. So anyway, we just want to bring it in. I think that's all. Thank you guys so much, and I think everybody got their codes right.
Yep.
Whoever was able to get the code. But in some cases, if you miss something, please email us, and we can help you to get into the uh, platform, inshallah.
Yes. Yeah. And I just want to mention again that after the webinar, within today and the next day and a couple of weeks, couple of days coming up in the next week, we're going to be reaching out to the people, everyone who's attended the webinar to ask for your feedback and provide you more information about the opportunity to invest in Musaffa. And we'll love to hear your feedback and your support as well.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you so much. One last
Thank you.
question. Does Mustafa do research reports and recommendations? We do that right now, recommendations, but we get it from the third party. It's not Mustafa's its own, but inshallah, we will build our own. So thanks everybody so much. And we will, inshallah, post this webinar. You can rewatch it, or somebody, maybe your friends and family want to watch it. We will post it on the website, musaffa.com. Inshallah, soon. We will also email you with the YouTube link, or wherever we post it. You can rewatch it, or you can reshare with your family and friends, inshallah.
Yes.
And we have everybody's email here who attended, and we will email you the link for the webinar as well. Thanks, everybody. May Allah bless you for joining.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
everyone. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.